All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the QE2 Center. This is a presentation on digital currency exchanges. It'll be somewhat about Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, not all, but focused on digital currency exchanges. I am one of the co-founders of Globitex, which is a new digital currency exchange. I'm also one of the founding directors of the Bitcoin Foundation in 2012 that launched originally to compensate the developers in the space. And I am also a non-executive director for several Bitcoin and blockchain companies. I wanted to start off by saying something about the three functions of money. So if anyone takes an Econ 101 class, the first thing you learn in monetary economics are the three functions of money. So we have a store of value, we have medium of exchange, and we have unit of account. Those three functions are required for what economists refer to as a functioning monetary unit. Now, the confusion around it, though, is that they don't all start at the same time. They don't start with unit of account and go backwards. There's a specific sequence to these functions of money in order for it to evolve into a successful currency. So let me give you an example. With Bitcoin, the first transaction is the famous pizza transaction, which is about a $79, $80 million pizza right now. It was actually 2 pepperoni pizzas, but that's the current value of the Bitcoin that was exchanged for that transaction. It was from Florida to London. Actually, the London person is the one who paid for the pizza. They were delivered in Florida, and 10,000 Bitcoin were sent to London. The London person ordered them, I think, through Papa John's or somebody, and delivered them to Melbourne, Florida. And that was the transaction. Now, before that time, they didn't really have any kind of a price. So they just made it up. They were just winging it. But the point is that it wouldn't have been used as a medium of exchange if it didn't already possess the store of value function. The reason people take something in exchange as a medium of exchange is because they believe that it has value for them after they accept it. They may not want to hold it, but they may want to exchange it, obviously, for something else. So the functions themselves are actually nested. It starts with store of value, which is the first state that you have to have for anything to evolve as money. And then it moves to medium of exchange. It can't happen the other way around because it doesn't make any sense for people to accept it if they don't think that it will have at least enough value for them to hold it and get rid of it. And then the last function, unit of account, this is the final stage of money. This is when you see goods and services priced in the dominant numeraire. So you go shopping in the store, on the shelves it'll say pounds or dollars or euros. This is the unit of account. Bitcoin is not there. No cryptocurrency is there. This stage takes a long time to get to unit of account because the government with legal tender has such an advantage in this area through the required payment of taxes and so forth that it's very difficult for a newcomer to break into the unit of account phase. When it happens, though, it's a massive disruption. People are already starting to price their services in Bitcoin, but because it's so volatile, they usually price it in another currency, and then through that currency, they receive Bitcoin. So that's not really unit of account. But one of the things that will be required to achieve unit of account is to have raw basic commodities that are priced and traded in the numeraire, which is Bitcoin. And this is one of the things that Globitex strives to achieve. In the phase of its rollout, it will include the trading pairs of Bitcoin and raw commodities. So gold, silver, industrial metals, crude oil, agricultural commodities. This will start to set, at least at a wholesale level, it will set the framework and the basis for using cryptocurrencies as a unit of account, which will complete the three functions of money. So very important. I'm not just making this stuff up. You can go to a Bank of England report, and they have the same diagram where you have the nested functions of money in their report, if you believe the Bank of England. Okay, so people always ask me, what do I fear most about the Bitcoin economy? What keeps me up at night? If I'm such a believer, I must have something that I fear. So what is it? Well, do I fear a 51% attack? Is that my fear? Do I fear crazy people wearing UASF hats? Do I fear exchange hacks? Or what do I think will kill Bitcoin? Is there anything that can kill Bitcoin, such as regulation? Do I fear regulation? Okay, none of those things are something that I fear about Bitcoin. What I fear the most is what is actually happening in the gold market right now. And I fear that we will get to a point where the exchanges themselves are successful, but we will have government-sponsored, state-sponsored trading where they will be able to suppress the price artificially because they have an unlimited supply of fiat. There's a lot of people that believe the gold market today is suppressed. The prices don't reflect what would really be happening if they were a true check on central banking. So this is possible because unlimited fiat can be used to do naked short selling on exchanges. So the paper market for Bitcoin in the futures exchanges can be manipulated through price suppression via naked short selling. Naked short selling is where you sell the commodity without actually owning it. Exchanges allow this, and it's legal. You just have to have a certain amount of margin. The exchanges have to manage contract limits, and they have to warehouse a certain amount for physical delivery. Now, what is the remedy to this, though? If this is what keeps me up at night, eventually I think the Bitcoin market will be manipulated in the same way the gold market is, or the same way the silver market is. So the remedy to this is to have enough global exchanges, enough exchanges worldwide in different jurisdictions, even some that may be jurisdictionless, so they don't operate in any known jurisdiction. It doesn't matter if they're centralized or decentralized. What we need as a defense is to have enough of these so that a single country or a few leading governments can't control a certain exchange. It's very easy with gold because most of the gold is traded in, paper gold is traded in New York on the COMEX. So it's very easy to suppress the price through one exchange that has the majority of the flow. With Bitcoin, we don't have a mature exchange market yet, but to the extent that we can get this globally, we will be able to provide a remedy for the attack that I fear. And this is one of the features of Globitex as well. I mean, obviously, we're going to be one of the exchanges in that ecosystem, but we're not going to be the only ones. We're going to need several thousand of exchanges in different jurisdictions. So, leading to the other point that I wanted to make is, what is the next stage in all of this? So we have a functioning currency, which is a store of value and currently a medium of exchange. We have exchanges that are spread out globally in various jurisdictions. What is the next part of the evolution? Well, this is what I hear from a lot of my client companies is they have no way to hedge the balance sheet risk that they're currently holding. There's a lot of companies that have Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies on their balance sheets. The only way to hedge that is to sell it in the physical market, remove the risk. They can sell it in the futures market now. For the last month or so, they've been able to do that. But that's a cash-settled market. It's not a physical settled market. So it's a little bit like the tail wagging the dog when you have a cash-settled market. This allows them to at least reduce some of that balance sheet risk without having to sell the commodity. So it's very helpful, but still not 100% effective. What I think is going to happen in the space is futures will lead to an options market where you have call options and put options. You'll be able to pay a premium for a call option or a put option, and you'll be able to protect the assets on your balance sheet for a known price. This happens all the time in other multi-currency corporations. They're using derivatives to hedge that risk. At Globitex, the futures and options market is one of the planned and phased rollouts, but physically settled. So they're physically settled on the future side. And the other thing is that when we get to that stage, we're already starting to see it. We're starting to see an interest rate market develop for Bitcoin and Ethereum. The Bitcoin interest rate, does anyone want to take a guess at what the annual interest rate is for Bitcoin? It's about 28 to 35% annually right now. It's been as high as 350%. The reason we know what the interest rate is because the short sellers have to borrow Bitcoin in order to sell it. So there's an active two-way interest rate market for Bitcoin. Now, you only borrow it for a day or a week, but if you annualize that, the rates fluctuate between 28 and 35. It's very volatile, so sometimes it goes over 35. Now, I have named that index BIBOR. So it's like LIBOR, but it's BIBOR for Bitcoin. So it's Bitcoin interbroker offered rate. And you can start using that if you want. I don't mind. That is going to be a product one day. And that product and that forwards curve, that interest rate, the maturity schedules that come out of that are going to be used in capital finance for the crypto economy. That's why I love the name of this conference series, because we're building the early capital markets for a new currency. It can't function any other way. It needs to have an interest rate. So Globitex will also be a market maker in that interest rate curve. So just like we have interest rate futures now for the dollar, for the euro, you're looking at overnight, 1 week, 30 days. Those will be products that are traded on a crypto exchange. And to give you more color around that and more details around that, I want to introduce my co-founder at Globitex, and she will do a close-up look of what Globitex is planning. And we've just completed a successful pre-sale period, so we're currently closed for any sales. So this won't be a sales pitch. I wanted to welcome my co-founder, Lisa. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you, John, very much so. My name is Lisa IJsbeerte, or as the internet community tends to still refer to me, it's simply Lisa A, which is fine. Go right ahead. It's just too cryptic a Latvian surname. So if we could roll down a slide number 2, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about, first of all, what Globitex is. Second of all, I'm going to present a case for and against a very popular notion of centralized versus decentralized exchanges. And then I'm going to talk about why we're here, what actually got us started. And finally, I'll conclude about our actual token sale, which is basically looking into the future, what Globitex is planning to do. So first of all, Globitex actually is an institutional grade cryptocurrency exchange. We have been recently awarded a group company, a Globitex group company has been awarded an EMI license, which is an unprecedented license in the space for cryptocurrency businesses because it gives us the ability to actually act as our own bank for euro payments across the SEPA payment system, which means for euro payments, we actually don't need to integrate with an intermediary bank. We will be able to issue your own bank accounts, your own IBAN accounts. So for euro payments, for a Bitcoin related, for cryptocurrency related business, this is an unprecedented move in the space. We have been regulated by an EU regulator in Lithuania. Our friends in Lithuania are wonderful in taking this leap towards the future of crypto economy, and will be honored to fulfill the hopes and dreams of theirs. So today, you can trade already Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash against euros, and soon enough we'll be adding Ethereum, Litecoin, and also major other cryptocurrencies which actually pass the standard of the regulatory scrutiny. Obviously, everyone's asking me, well, can you list my token? Can you do this token? Can you do that token? Because I have interest in it or not. We will not be able to list tokens straight off the bat or even ever because of our close ties to the regulatory agreements that we have with the regulator. So next on, we have the features, what actually makes Globitex special. Obviously, we're not the first comers. In fact, we are quite late comers to the industry. But what actually makes us special is that we have a completely functional fix API, which actually to date, it would be fair to say that none of the exchanges have up to the level that we have developed. So it gives you a direct market access with the Fix API. Obviously, we also support REST API with WebSocket. It's a superior matching engine which we're running with over 1 million transactions per second. So if you are a market maker or high-frequency trader, you would absolutely enjoy working on our exchange. Now, added to that, we are proudly touting our reporting tool, something so basic that every broker, every exchange should have. And indeed, we have taken our time to actually develop it to a detail where you can even have something called the net asset value, something not everybody understands or everybody needs, but if you're an institutional broker, accountant, you would definitely appreciate the ability to have net asset value report. Obviously, we have developed a professional GUI platform for day and night traders, so you can switch between night and day. You can also choose to move around the modules of the trading platform, so it's very customizable. Finally, obviously, there's a lot of security that has been worked into it for our own custodian solution for Globitex, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, soon Ethereum, and Litecoin custodian wallets. And as I already mentioned, we are EMI licensed, so it's an amazing development, completely unprecedented in the space, and we'll be very proud to deliver on that as soon as we integrate in it. Thank you. So here's the case for and against centralized and decentralized exchanges. I'd really like to know in the audience, is there more for centralized or for decentralized? Could anyone shout out, is the centralized more of a thing or a thing? Decentralized? Okay, decentralized, 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 decentralized. Okay, a lot of decentralized, that's great. I would totally agree with you on decentralized monetary system, absolutely, because this is the thing. As for an exchange, there's actually a difference. So here are the differences. For decentralized exchange, you still need to do a KYC AML. In fact, in Europe, following the directive, Right, thank you. You will actually be forced or compelled to register and actually disclose your personal details. So you're basically already disclosing and centralizing those details. First of all, that's already a central point. Obviously, for centralized, it is disclosed and centralized. It's a standard. For volume, for decentralized exchanges, you're absolutely limited by the on-chain transaction capacity, which is for Bitcoin 7 transactions per second. Ethereum, maybe 15, maybe 30 on a good day. But that's it. So on-chain transactions in a decentralized way are limited. Whereas for centralized, it is unlimited. And as I said, Globitex supports, over 1 million transactions per second. Now, offering diversity. On a decentralized exchange, you will clearly be able to exchange your cryptocurrency of your choice. Whereas on a centralized, you can list so many things. Something that Globitex will be listing. You will have futures, you would have options, you have all the various types of securities, which cannot actually function on a decentralized way. It just doesn't work. You need one centralized point of reference, one point of price discovery, where all of this is clearly listed. Of course, you need several exchanges who do that, but they must be centralized. And use cases, obviously this is peer-to-peer, whereas for a centralized exchange, you have global trade, hedging, speculating, various types of investments. All of that is enabled via centralized exchanges. It is very biased, of course, because I am with a centralized exchange. Globitex is a centralized exchange, and it cannot truly be a decentralized exchange unless we solve the transaction speed per second issue. Maybe once we have streaming prices, I think we can revisit that. And if the regulator is also on board with it, perhaps one day it's going to be decentralized. Thank you. So this is just a very quick reminder why we're all here. Having listened into the presentations of this wonderful conference, I just saw that we need to have a look back, a step back, and just leap back and see why we're all here. Obviously, it's because Bitcoin. Bitcoin came about, and it basically changed, pretty much everything. So what is Bitcoin? Just a couple of points, very, very distinguished point. It's a distributed, completely decentralized network for payments. It doesn't sleep on Sundays, Saturdays, like SEPA or SWIFT. It's always on. It's a permissionless consensus-based monetary unit. It didn't ask anyone, can I come about? It just came about. It's an immutable asset with scarcity of 21 million coins, which gives it a value. Highly divisible, however, irreversible, as opposed to chargebacks. Very important feature. And there are some drawbacks. I'm not going to go into those. I love both Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So whichever comes at the top is going to probably lead this Bitcoin revolution. The most important, however, is that in 2015, on October 22nd, at least here in Europe, Bitcoin was implicitly or explicitly actually defined as a currency. So on that date, the EU Court of Justice pronounced that Bitcoin shall be exempt of VAT, which means that it is effectively a means of payment, a currency. Now, speaking of exchanges, which was the main point of our presentation today with John, just like any exchange, Globitex is also basically a tool for cryptocurrency adoption. It basically enables new or old or whatever digital assets to be freely exchanged. It allows access to democratic price discovery. It is transparent for capital in and out. It provides liquidity for trading and hedging for various industries. Basically, exchanges are absolutely necessary. They're essential for normal functioning of any economy. Now, what's next for Globitex? Well, as John already mentioned, we have just closed out our pre-sale. We've hit the cap. We are raising very moderate and very modest amounts just to kickstart our next phase of development. But so far, we have raised already 3 million, and we're raising in total 10 in order to actually diversify further our development into becoming a global, not only spot cryptocurrency exchange, but actually go after the next license and the next license, which will enable us not only lending ability, enabling interest rate futures, enabling commodity futures with the physical delivery. We are going after a regulatory approval and system revamp in order to be able to actually become an exchange for security trading. That's huge. I'm very, very proud to be part of this whole thing, because that's how basically the currency in existence, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, what have you, this is what it needs to actually grow. So Globitex ICO, Bitcoin protocol-based currencies are here to stay. This is our basic premise. Bitcoin economy scaling can be achieved by providing better market access and more diversified product offering. Liquidity issue, all good? Liquidity issue can also be solved by developing cryptocurrency money markets to find the equilibrium between supply and demand. Because money, if you think about it, is also a thing with demand and supply. And only when and if there is enough of a possibility for that demand and supply to meet, only then we will truly see the relative value of that thing, which in our case is cryptocurrency. And we believe that Globitex can be instrumental in scaling cryptocurrency economy by listing standardized instruments in money markets and major commodities with cash settlement and physical delivery. And of course with Bitcoin or Bitcoin protocol-based currencies as the underlying currency, a unit of account. Now, we have seen various types of tokens, and ours is going to be a utility token. So this is a slide for those who wonder, okay, so what is their token exactly? Well, here's the thing. You will be able to settle trades with GBX token. And if you're an owner of our token, you will also participate in loyalty or market-making activities, whereby we would incentivize you to actually help us make the market by making that trade extremely, extremely profitable for you. So in a sense, this is a tool both for you to take advantage of our platform and for us to increase the offering and liquidity on our trading instruments. So the base price is 10 euro cents plus absolute guaranteed 20% discount. As long as you redeem it, this is what you're getting. When we list all the gold futures, all the exciting, crude oil futures, and we need market makers to participate, we will be incentivizing you to use your tokens by giving it a much bigger value. So it's a utility token, not only for you, but also for us. So the token supply is limited or calculated at 10 million euro market cap, hard cap. As I said, redeemed tokens will be banned. Therefore, the GBX token is deflationary and should be appreciating value, therefore. These are our contact details. These are our websites. If you need to see more, please come and talk to us. We'll be attending the party afterwards. So we'll be around for another hour. Thank you very much.